Good morning. There we go. Okay, thank you, Carol, as always, for your beautiful music. Is that okay? I think so, yeah. So good morning and welcome to today's worship service. We're grateful that you're here with us today. My name is Catherine Severson, and I'm the service coordinator for today here at All Souls Church. Our mission is to seek truth, practice love, and celebrate life. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your heritage, and from wherever your beliefs spring, you are welcome here. In the UU Church, we have 7 guiding principles. The principles highlighted today, they're all listed on the back of the order of service, but today we're highlighting number 5, the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large, as well as principle number 6, the goal of world community, peace, liberty, and justice for all. And now for a few announcements. First, just a reminder to continue to read our weekly emails, and if you're not getting those, you can sign up for those in the back. After the service today, everyone's welcome to stay for refreshments downstairs in Eliza's kitchen, and then those who are interested can come back around 11:15 or 11:20 for circle discussion. And I think there are a couple of others with announcements too.
Yeah, good morning. Next Sunday is our annual meeting, so we encourage everybody to plan to be there so we have a quorum, and plan to cast your vote if you're a member and to speak your mind if you're not a member but are still welcome at the meeting. So that's next Sunday at 11 a.m. Saturday night is a very interesting program. It's mentioned in the announcements, but I feel like it's important enough to call attention to orally. Violins of Hope is a program at Augustana University at 7 p.m. in a concert hall. These are violins that survived the Holocaust, and I think there's probably other stringed instruments too. And so the details are in your program on the insert. But it's a free event, free will donations, limited seating, hosted by Mount Zion Congregation and Curious Music Collective. So it sounds like a great event next Saturday night at Augie. Thank you. Oh, I should mention, unless, or Janet, were you going to make an announcement? Good.
Hi, I want to let you know how the pledge campaign's going. Today's the last day, supposedly. We're up to $44,000, so thank you very much for everyone who's pledged. However, I need more. Need to hear from the other 17 of you who haven't given your pledge card for next year yet. So if you know what you're going to give and just lost or forgot your card, you can see me in the office afterwards, and I'll help you fill one out. That way I got to get a budget together for next week's meeting, so need to hear from as many people as we can. So if I don't hear from you today, we'll be following up, giving you a little phone call. Kevin? The goal was 60, but we're really expecting about 50. We need to have 50. So I think 60 was kind of a stretch goal, but we're still waiting to hear from the viable goal. And so thank you all very much.
Okay, now we'll have our prelude. This one? Okay. There we go. I do. Sorry. That sounds good. Thank you, JC. Okay, I'll invite Peter to come light the chalice. He's been wanting to do that for a while. And our chalice lighting reading is in the gray hymnal, number 436. I'll read the regular text, and you can follow with the italics. We come to this time and this place to renew our faith in the holiness, goodness, and beauty of life. To rekindle the flame of memory and hope and Okay, please join for our opening song, number 44 in the gray hymnal, and please stand as you are able. Okay. Our first reading is number 604 in the gray book. It's from Lao Tzu. I'll read the regular text and you can follow with the italics. A vessel so sacred. Those who would take over the earth and shape it to their will never, I notice, succeed. And when they reach out their fingers, it is gone. For a time in the great world, some make great noise, and some are held silent. For a time in the world, some push aboard, and some are tipped out. Okay. And now I invite the children to come up for the story for all ages. Test. There we go. So today, church, we're talking about former President Teddy Roosevelt. And Dean, I'm sure, will tell us about what he did and believed in. But one of the things that I was thinking of that he's well known for is I think he established 5 national parks, 5 or 4, and made it easier for future presidents to establish national parks and monuments. So we found this book about the Kids Guide to the National Parks in the U.S. at the library. So I'll read an intro, and then we can talk about some of the things in the book. The world is changing at a lightning-quick pace. The population is rising, cities are growing, and new neighborhoods are popping up every single day. But amidst this changing landscape, you can still find vast parcels of protected land, many of which remain virtually untouched since the days of our country's settlers first arrived. These are our national parks, originally established as a way to protect the land and wildlife contained within a total of 84 million acres of stunning scenery and natural wonders. President Theodore Roosevelt is credited with championing the establishment of the parks. A concerned environmentalist, he made it his mission to rescue these scenic spots from potential destruction by land-hungry humans. In 1872, Yellowstone, which spans Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho, became the first national park to be officially recognized by Congress. Today, there are almost 60 national parks, as well as dozens of nationally protected refuges, monuments, and forests located in 49 states, plus the District of Columbia, American Samoa, Guam, Puerto Rico, Saipan, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. Sort of as an aside, one thing that we've enjoyed at the national parks is the Junior Ranger program, which is not just for kids. I've actually heard that even park rangers will do this when they go to a new national park, sort of for kids, where you get it's kind of a book of activities you have to complete. You have to listen to a talk from a ranger, fill out some worksheets, and then you make a pledge to protect the earth, and then you get a little national park badge, and that's a fun way for anybody to get to know a new national park. So if we look at this map, you can see all the green letters. Those indicate where the parks are. Can you tell which side of the country has more of the national parks? For sure the West, yeah. It seems like Alaska, California, Washington especially have a lot. But we have a couple in South Dakota. So I bookmarked those. Do you know the one in South Dakota? Yeah. The Badlands National Park, and there is some of it in North Dakota too, but I don't think that's sanctioned as national park. So I'll just read a little bit about this one since it's in our state. Early French-Canadian trappers named it, I'm not going to try that because I don't speak French, but the translation is bad lands to cross. But there's nothing bad to say about this extremely unique region, famous for its towering, jagged cliffs, steep walled canyons, and bumpy gray terrain. The rocky landscape of Badlands National Park is often compared to the moon's surface. It does feel like that. But the park is also home to Buffalo Gap National Grassland, the largest mixed grass prairie in the national park system. The combination of distinct rock formations and lush grasslands makes the Badlands one of the most beautiful and bizarre places in the world. I agree with that. And what seems really bizarre is that it's just like a few miles from the interstate where everything looks like prairie. And then the other one in South Dakota we have is, do you know this one? We haven't been there. Wind Cave, where there are 130 miles of underground passages. The world's longest cave. One of the world's longest cave. Okay. So, lots to celebrate and be thankful for with the national parks. And now I think we're not singing the children out, is that right? Okay, so for today, the kids can stay up here with us. Okay, so We'll transition to joys and concerns. In this congregation, we found it helpful to share the ups and downs of our lives by the practice of taking a stone from a bowl, holding it in our hand, warming it, expressing our thoughts of joy and or concern, and then placing the stone in the water so that the ripples of the water carry our joys and concerns out into the wider world. I'll go first. Okay. My joy this week is that Jeremy and I are celebrating our wedding anniversary. We've been married for 10 years. And now I invite others to come. And if there's, you can kind of line up on the sides to help it keep moving along.
Edie Ann Hafke, and our thoughts and prayers is that we like to think about Marilyn Skidmore and her dog, who is 17 years old and is probably seeking out or will be going to this other dimension in time. So hopefully he's well going without any pain. And I'm also grateful that Jenny's family's been here yesterday, and her mother's here too. So thank you for coming and stuff. So, all right.
My name is Alan. I'll share a couple of joys. First one is for Janine's grandson, Skylar, and his new wife, Mackenzie, who were married in Keystone last weekend. And so we were there and had a nice time seeing a lot of family, enjoyed the beautiful Black Hills. And then the joy today of Janine's sister, very generous sister who comes once a year and plants lots of flowers in the backyard. And she's doing that as we speak. And I hope she hears it on the radio, but maybe not. And so we're very grateful for Shelley's generous anniversary gift.
Hey, Mike is my name. Just a couple joys, I think. One is Peter and I continue to go up to the prison. There he is, Peter, and do what they think is what they call it strength and balance, but it's really yoga. So we trick them into doing yoga, and we had like 20 guys come this last time. So our trickery is working well to get them in there. But we asked, why are there so many here? And apparently there's something going on where if a lot of people have some type of a problem with their parole or something, they're just instantly putting them into the prison. It's just, it's weird how many people are in there. So I don't know if anybody knows anything about it. I'd be curious more about it. Second thing is, Alan and I met. We're talking about a public speaking kind of course type of thing, and Izumi's daughter Rebecca is really excited about it. So we're hoping that we can get her involved and other young people involved, and then we have a speaker coming that spoke at TEDx. So hopefully in July or August, she will be here, and so we'll try to get this workshop put together. So helping people with public speaking. So everybody get out and vote. One stone for that.
Okay, I'll put in one final stone, and then we'll take a moment of silent reflection to reflect on what we've heard and what's on our own hearts and minds. Okay, please join in our second song now, number 290, Bring, O Past Your Honor. Our second reading is different from the one listed in the order of service. We're going to read number 589. Entitled Peace from the Pupils of the Lincoln School. I'll read the regular text and you can follow with the italics. Peace means the beginning of a new world. Peace is quiet and calm. It is rest. It is silence after a storm. It is love and friendship. It is the world's dream of dreams. Peace brings comfort and happiness. It brings bread to the hungry. It brings prosperity to the nations. It means the strong respect the weak, the great respect the small, the many respect the few. It is like spring after winter. It brings sunshine into the world. It is like sweet music after harsh sounds. Okay. And now, given the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, Alan and the program committee came up with a plan to have a speaker, or several speakers over the course of the summer, highlighting the faces on Mount Rushmore, looking at them through a UU lens. So to kick that off, today we have our own UU member, or All Souls member, Dean Kurtz, who's going to speak on President Theodore Roosevelt through the lens of UU principles.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? Are we working here today? I know I'm working. I'm just not sure about the mic. But unfortunately, that course or the class on public speaking is coming too late for me. I'm on the agenda here first to talk about Teddy Roosevelt. So Teddy Roosevelt was our 26th president, and I'm sure, am I working okay, Dan? What can I do to correct that? Is that any better? No? I might have to move back to the mic, huh? Okay, I'll take this off and we'll move back to the mic then. All right, as you probably know, Teddy Roosevelt was our 26th president, served from around 1900 to 1909. Would have liked to have been president again in 1912, but was defeated as a independent candidate at that time. But he's an important president, important enough anyhow that he's recognized as one of the four memorialized on the Mount Rushmore. Why? Because he was a visionary, because he was a president who spoke out about the common people and supported the common people. He had strong beliefs in what the president should do and what the obligation of the president was. He strongly believed that the presidency or the president was a steward of the people, acting on behalf of the people. And that was his main job, was to make sure that the people, the small people of the country, had an equal fight or an equal chance in the fight when it came to fighting the big interests of the day. That does not mean, however, I was going to go over here and read this quotation. Let me get that shirt, and then I'll do it here. For those who didn't have the chance to read this when they came in, and for those at home that have never had a chance to read it, this is one of Teddy Roosevelt's quotes, one of my favorite. To announce that there must be no criticism of the president or that we are to stand by the president, right or wrong, is not only unpatriotic, but servile and is morally treasonable to the American public. Teddy Roosevelt. Contrast that to the thoughts we have today, and you'll find an amazing discrepancy there. So this is a quotation that's worthy of a president to be on Mount Rushmore. Now I'll give you another quotation of Teddy Roosevelt's. I'm not saying all Indians are bad, just 9 out of 10. That's a quotation from Teddy Roosevelt as well. So what do we have here? We have a man who is both good and perhaps not so good as we would look back on it today. But keeping in mind that that second quotation has to be kept in the context of when the era in which he was speaking. It was not an uncommon belief back in those days about the Native Americans. So he had strong feelings, one of which was also he believed in white supremacy. He believed that the white people were meant to rule the world and that the colored people of any color were somehow inferior to those of white heritage. That was another one of his beliefs. So how do we take those beliefs and then transfer them over to our UU, what was more in line with our UU principles, his spirit of conservation, his trust busting, breaking up the big companies for the benefit of the little people, his passage of he was very instrumental in passing the civil service, taking it from a civil service that was dependent upon politicians to one that was more dependent upon being long-term servants of the people. He was very influential in passing the Food and Drug Act, the Meat Inspection Act, broke up Standard Oil, did a ton of good things. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the good things and about some of the bad things as we look back upon it. He was born in 1858, was of a sickly nature, so much so that I think it was his parents that decided he needed to have some vigorous outside activity to bring his strength up. And so they sent him to what is now North Dakota, where he had a ranch, and he was there for a number of years. In later years, he would say that he would never have been president if not for the time that he had spent in North Dakota as a rancher. At the age of 12, he established the Teddy Roosevelt History of National Museum, or the Museum of National History. He was very avid in collecting specimens of bugs and anything of that nature, displaying them in his bedroom. That's where his museum was located. And he continued that love of science throughout his life. He was credited with recognizing a number of new species, particularly down in South America when he was traveling down there. He spent the time in North Dakota, of course. Intellectual capacity, he was an avid reader. He read books voraciously. He's an author of some 30-some books. And what a showman he was. I thought about coming up here. You're always supposed to start the talk about with an attention grabber. Well, I was going to pound on the podium. That didn't sound very well, but that's what he was noted for. He was a very good speaker. Matter of fact, he was such a good speaker that in 1912, it was an attempted assassination. He was shot in the right chest. What he did, I guess based upon his military training, he coughed into his handkerchief to see whether or not there was any blood coming up. Seeing none, he figured that there was no injury to the lung. So he proceeded, he told him that, by God, I'm going to go give my speech. That's what he was there for. So he went to the auditorium, told the audience that he had been shot, and because of that, he was going to shorten his speech, then proceeded to talk for an hour and a half. So that was Teddy. He was strong, vibrant, full of damn their torpedoes, full speed ahead kind of guy. And I think it first came to my attention when I was a young boy in grade school and reading about Teddy Roosevelt. And all the way through grade school, high school, I got the cleansed version of Teddy, all the good things that he had done, no mention of any of the things that he might be looked upon as less favorably. It wasn't until I got to college and was studying history and taking a course in American history that I started to learn some of the other sides of Teddy Roosevelt as well. And I think that continues today. I'd be surprised if they're teaching some of the, quoting some of those quotes about the Native Americans and so forth in our elementary schools and our high schools today. Probably still in college before you get that. Conservation, and I think you're right, there was 5 national parks that he established, but he also established 150 national forests, 18 national monuments, and set aside over 250 million acres in the United States for the benefit of the people to come. So he's well recognized and has very deserving of his accolades for his conservationism. Flip side of that, which is very seldom mentioned, of those 250 million acres, a large percentage of them came from the Native Americans, who he did not particularly care for. And he kicked them off of their land and took it and made it a national park or a national monument. And very little thought given to that, but a lot of the Native Americans, for probably justifiable reasons, don't have the same opinion of Teddy Roosevelt as some of us do today. But he firmly believed that a president is to stand for the people and set the standard for future presidents. He was an intellectual man, like I said. He read a lot. He was reading all the time. He's always learning. That was one thing about Teddy. He was never admitted that he had learned everything there was to know. He was always learning, and he benefited that knowledge by writing 30-some books. He criticized robber barons when it wasn't politically good to do so. They were very powerful in the day. But he criticized Standard Oil and some others of that ilk. He was very famous for applying the Sherman Antitrust Act, for the little bit of history, had been in effect for a number of years before Teddy became president. But he was the one that really took it seriously and started applying the principles of the Antitrust Act and broke up a lot of the monopolies of the time because he didn't think they were serving the people. And by the way, he was the first president to invite a black person, Booker T. Washington, to the White House for dinner, which really, really upset his Southern supporters. So much so, and this is again speaking a little bit about how Teddy would react to the political situation, they raised such a furor that he backed away from that. And in his later years, or his later part of his presidency, was not so supportive of black rights. Matter of fact, he did some things that were quite the contrary. He was a strong believer, as I said, in white supremacy. Matter of fact, he encouraged, I don't know why it was just Protestant, but white Protestant women to have more children to offset the number of births that are being made by the people of color. He thought it was the right, the obligation of the whites to have more children so that they could remain the majority. He believed the Anglo-Saxon race was superior to that of the other races. Imperial aggression is another thing that he's noted for. That is not necessarily a good thing. But I think it was in 1908, he sent the American fleet around the world. Up until that point in time, America was not really recognized as being a world power. And he thought it should be. So he sent the American fleet, the naval fleet, around the world, Japan, China, and other places, to demonstrate the strength of the United States. And there was a saying at the time that he sent the American fleet around the world looking for a war. He couldn't find any, so they gave him the Nobel Peace Prize. He got the Nobel Peace Prize for helping negotiate the settlement between the Russians and the Japanese, their war. And he deserved that as well. But he was, as they say, an imperialist. He expanded the Monroe Doctrine with the Roosevelt Corollary, which said that America had the right, the duty to interfere in the workings of any Latin American country that he thought was not developing along the course of democracy as they should. Of course, it was his interpretation that came into play. One example of that, he's also credited with being the architect or the man behind the creation of the Panama Canal. And how did he do that? Well, he applied the Roosevelt Corollary. At the time, Panama was owned by Colombia. And so he got to talking to Panamanians, I don't know, either directly or through an emissary. Anyhow, he arranged for Panama to revolt against Colombia. 2 days after they revolted, the United States recognized Panama as being a legitimate country and established relations with them. 3 days after that, approximately, they signed the Panama Canal Treaty on a very favorable grounds to the United States, authorizing or Panama giving the United States the rights to build that canal. Colombia was a stickler on that. So he needed to get Panama recognized as a country, and he did so at the expense of Colombia. And when Colombia sent troops to put down the Panamanian Revolution, well, he sent the American fleet to block them so that they couldn't get there to put down the Panamanian Revolution. So he was instrumental in the creation of Panama. It was a prime example of the Roosevelt Corollary of the United States having the obligation, the right to interfere in any other country, any Latin American country. Otherwise, it would have probably been named the Colombian Canal today rather than the Panama Canal. But that was without any consideration to the rights of Colombia and that, just what he wanted to have done. Oh, there's so many things we could talk about. Oh, let's back up a little bit and talk about why or how he ended up on Mount Rushmore to begin with. It was when Mount Rushmore, or what is now Mount Rushmore, the idea of it was being floated around. There was differing schools of thought about who should be, what faces should be up there being recognized. There was a strong school of thought that they should be people from the Dakotas that were famous here in Dakota. And there was also the school of thought that thought it should be more national, that it should be something, as it turned out, with the presidents. Well, anyhow, the idea of it being more national won out, and then they had to decide what four presidents or what presidents they were going to put up there. I think the first three, which you'll hear about later, are pretty obvious. There was Washington, the father of our nation; Jefferson, the expansionist, the idea of the manifest destiny, that it was the right or the goal of the United States was to stretch from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. And the Louisiana Purchase, which happened during Jefferson's term in office, greatly facilitated that. Matter of fact, it caused it to stretch from the Atlantic to Pacific for the first time. So then Lincoln, of course, well, he's up there because he's the savior of our country. The Civil War, that he was the one that saved us from becoming two separate countries. But Roosevelt was a little bit more of a stretch because keep in mind that at the time, this was only some 20 years after his presidency, relatively a short period of time, and not near enough time. I think most historians would agree that it takes more than 20 years before you can decide what the value of that president was, what the benefit was, whether or not he was a good president, bad president, whatever. So 20 years is a short period of time. But he was selected because he was that visionary, because he was a man of the people, because he was the person that supported the small people of the world, or the country. So it was, that was why he was selected, and I don't think it was played any small part that he happened to be a very close friend of Gustav Borglum, the sculptor. So I think he maybe had some influence as to Teddy being up there as well. But anyhow, he's up there, and I think, when we look back on it now, and knowing what we do know about some of his policies, I neglected to mention, I was going to talk a little bit about his treatment of the blacks. He dishonorably discharged 130 black soldiers who participated in what was called the Brownsville incident back in the day. And that was really not a good thing. It was very open as to who caused what, who caused that insurrection. But the blacks received the blame, and he dishonorably discharged 130 of them. And I think it was just not until recently, in the recent past anyhow, that those dishonorable discharges were overturned, that they were recognized as being honorable service for those black veterans. So there was a number of things that he did, not so good. But I do believe that the good things he did, the busting of the monopolies, the looking forward, looking out for the small people, making sure that they were represented, and being so energetic, displaying the energy that he did, the enthusiasm that he did. He was very popular in his day because of that. People respected him. He gave up the presidency in 1908 and was succeeded by Howard Taft, who he thought was his choice to become president after him, much to his chagrin, because 4 years later he decided Taft didn't know what the hell he was doing, and he decided he should run for president. Well, Taft had the Republican nomination. Woodrow Wilson had the Democratic nomination, 1912, and so he created the Bull Moose Party. If you saw that sign out front there of him riding a bull moose across the river, Teddy was, which was photoshopped back in the day. He never actually did that, but it really represented his Bull Moose Party, and that became the symbol of the Bull Moose Party. His song, Franklin had "Happy Days Are Here Again." Well, Teddy had There'll be a hot time in the old town tonight. That was his theme song. And I think it kind of fit his personality as well. So, and now in closing, I look back on Teddy Roosevelt. Like I said, knowing all of the things that he did that would support our UU principles, democracy, supporting the little man, so many things that we believe in, that he also believed in. But there are a few things that we espouse in our principles that he would not have supported. One being the equal, not white supremacy, of course, but he did. But that, again, was part of his time. That was not unusual for that belief to be upheld, followed by a number of people. A number of important people in America also subscribed to the same belief. So he wasn't alone. He wasn't out there on the fringe. He was part of the mainstream. But with all that said and done, you ask yourself, does he deserve to be on Mount Rushmore? I'd say the benefits, the good, outweigh the bad, and I think he does deserve to be up there. Like all of us, myself included, we've done good things in our life, and I've done things that I hope my family never learns about. Some bad things. My only hope is that when I am done, is that people judge me and find that I've done more good than I have bad, and that's what I hope to be remembered, and I hope that's how Teddy Roosevelt will be remembered as well. Now, I'm not sure where I'm at in my 15 minutes of allotted time here. I told Dan, I believe last week, that here they're giving me 15 minutes to talk about Teddy Roosevelt, whereas if I was a college professor, I'd probably devote an entire semester to talking about Teddy Roosevelt. So I'm condensing some 30 or 35 hours of instruction into 15 minutes. So we're getting a broad brush of what Teddy Roosevelt was and who he was. But I hope I've enlightened you a little bit, told you a little bit maybe about, reminded you of some of the things that he was very, very famous for and very well known for, and also perhaps touched upon some of the things that he's not so well remembered for, but still is part of the man. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope that we'll see a number of you at our circle discussion following the coffee downstairs, and with that, I'll bid you adieu. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean, for that nuanced look at Teddy Roosevelt. And now is the time when we ask for your help to do the work of our church through an offering. Half of the cash funds in the collection plate today will be donated to the Red Skirt Society. Okay, let's recite the words to receive the offering. We give these gifts freely. We receive these gifts gratefully. We dedicate these gifts to the work of our congregation, serving human wholeness, caring for our planet, upholding religious freedom, welcoming the stranger, and loving one another. Please join in our closing song, number 121, and stand as you're able. That's a good one. All right, and now for our closing reading, number 601. We can all read this together. When all the people of the world love, then the strong will not overpower the weak. The many will not oppress the few. The wealthy will not mock the poor. The honored will not disdain the humble. The cunning will not deceive the simple. From Motse. Peter, do you want to come extinguish the chalice? I forgot to put the candle snuffer up there. You can just blow. Okay. The chalice is extinguished, but the light goes with us out into the world.